Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Real News Live. Hopefully, you guys are having a great night tonight. Of course, the 1st of February, 2023. Amazing that we made it this long. Hi, Rodney. Hi, Debbie Martin. Hi, Tia. Hi, Debbie Rogers. Hi, Nana. Hi, Michelle. Hi, Sandra. Hi, of course, Penny, Pam, Linda, Richard. How you guys all doing tonight? Thank you guys for joining us. Definitely appreciate it, everyone being here. Hit that share button, that like button, get us out there as far as possible so more people can see what we're talking about and what we're trying to accomplish here. Giving news to the people, by the people. Of course, anybody's welcome to call in at any time during the show. The number is on the bottom of the page. Just let me know beforehand. But we're going to talk about first, the government thinks they know what's going on. They try to tell us, what's going on, but we know. I mean, the Fed's, of course, raising hikes another 2.5%. I mean, softening rate increases. But yet, what does that mean? We know that prices are still going to go up drastically. We know it's just starting. We know egg prices are just the beginning as we're following everything that's happening. It's terrible. Of course, the Feds are saying interest rates can still be raised because the job market has over 11 million new jobs. Well, where are these jobs? They're not in the tech industry. They're not in the retail industry. They're not in the production industry. What jobs are they talking about? That's something everybody's wondering what's happening now. Of course, the Feds are saying that they're trying to dial back, and while inflation and economics is cooling, inflation's not cooling at this point. What the U.S. is trying to stop is a recession that it's going to put millions of people out of work. Let's be honest. There's no 11 million job openings in the U.S. Eggs are now average of 41 cents an egg per egg. Ridiculous pricing. And U.S. factory gauges are falling for the 5th month to the lowest since May of 2020. Of course, they've dropped to 47.4%. Trailing forecast, orders, production gauges also declining to the levels of mid-2020 levels. When people weren't buying anything, people didn't have any money. Only thing people were buying were the stuff that they had to buy. This is a sad, sad projection of what's happening. Production is slipping further into the contracting territory of January. In January, falling to the lowest levels. This is sad, this report coming out. 15 manufacturer industry reported contractions last month alone, led by wood products, textile, paper products, furniture, and miscellaneous manufacturing, transport equipment. It's ridiculous. Eggs are still around $13.99 in a lot of places, and they're going to go up even more. That's not a question. Just are people prepared for it? The biggest thing, though, that is leading to these manufacturing issues is transporting the goods is becoming extremely unreliable because even producing food is becoming an issue. But wood and textiles and paper products, their biggest thing is we're not getting wood pulp from Russia, one of the major manufacturers or exporters of wood and wood products around the world. Yes, we need to try to limit our interactions with Russia, but obviously this isn't helping. More than 6,000 manufacturing jobs are, according to job reports, got fired Friday. 6,000 employees. The average economic forecast predicts payroll increases by 196,000 in January. We had a loss. This is crazy. Absolutely crazy. Yeah. Well, some places you can get eggs cheaper. I'm not saying you can't, but a lot of places you can't even get eggs. Now, new studies are pointing to egg production even at home, because if you're buying feed from a lot of these companies, chickens just aren't producing. Of course, the companies are saying it's not their fault. But why aren't chickens producing on certain feed and producing fine on natural? Just waste. It's a big question. Purina's the biggest one being looked at right now. as to what's happening with the feed situation for chickens because they're not producing. That's alarming. Backyard farmers are not having eggs since last winter. It's getting worse. Of course, Biden administration moves to curb credit card late fees, which is ridiculous, because he's proposing a cap of $8 on credit card late fees. A cap. You can only get $8 to charge. Yeah, buy local chicken feed for sure. And the White House is taking aim, of course, across the industry now. So where are credit card companies going to stop loaning money because of this? I mean, the proposed new rule that the limit the credit card fees companies could charge for missed payments, not just late, is $8 for missing a payment. I mean, some companies charge up to $41 plus the interest payments on top of it. This is avoiding interest and everything and just charging $8 flat fee. I mean, hoping it would reduce the late fees by as much as $9 billion a year. Credit card companies are not going to stay operational. They're losing $9 billion of income. So then what does that mean for the rest of us? It means if you pay your bills, the credit card company might not be there anyways. They can't afford to stay operational. Companies like Synchrony Financial just don't even know what to do. Earnings and offset of the impact of the rule, if there is one, will be drastic, causing drastic changes in credit card approvals and everything. This is just the beginning. Manchin and Cruz got the right idea, introducing a bipartisan bill barring Biden administration from selling U.S. oil reserves to China. This should have happened a while ago. We know he was doing it back when he was vice president. We know he was involved with deals with Russia or oil going to Russia and China, sidetracking the U.S. government, everything else. It's just crazy. Of course, today they introduced this legislation that would prohibit the federal government from selling American energy and oil reserves to China. The legislation, of course, is co-sponsored by 12 other Republicans, 2 other Democrats, and the independent Senator August King of Maine. And Kristen Sinema of Arizona is also sponsoring this. This is Protecting America's Petroleum Reserve from China Act. I mean, it's going to pass overwhelmingly, I have a feeling. The bill, of course, the bipartisan bill, is supported by Democrat majority in the Senate and gives Bill a full, clear pathway to the presidential desk to be signed into law, which I guarantee something's going to happen. Something's going to happen where he's not going to sign it because, that's how he's made his money on the back end of a lot of deals. Well, the reserve has been a policy band-aid for rising gas prices. The global unrest caused by Russia's invasion into Ukraine, the reserve is, above all, meant to help the United States and our allies through difficult times, not to help China's power its economy. That's a huge problem. Why is the oil even being sold to them? Since taking office in January 2021, Biden administration has sold at least 2 million barrels from the strategic reserve to China. I mean, it's affiliate of state-controlled China's Petroleum Corporation, SPR. I mean, this is ridiculous. First sale was 20 million barrels to SPR. Sales was awarded to 8 companies in September 2021. The other 2 boast sales for 950,000 barrels of oil came in April. I mean, this is ridiculous. After Biden's strategy on announcing releasing strategic oil to combat rising gasoline prices, we sell it to China? We're all supposed to be happy about this? Even somewhat happy? This is ridiculous. So I think this new bill is very needed. It should have been put in place a long time ago. Unfortunately, it hasn't been. A lot's been going wrong in our country, and a lot of people have been oversighting a lot of little things. I think Congress and the president have too much control, to be honest, but that's beyond my control right now. Today, of course, Memphis gathered to mourn Tyrese Nichols' funeral today, and it's sad seeing what's happened. I mean, the family definitely did not deserve this. 5 officers, of course, 7 officers total being charged now. 5 officers with murder, and 2 with manslaughter. Crazy, crazy times ahead. Of course, the U.S. isn't done spending money, as the U.S. reportedly is readying a $2 billion in aid package for Ukraine, and Kiev signals reforms ahead of the EU summit. It's ridiculous. I mean, Zelensky, of course, said that the new reforms and prepares for the summit with top EU officials at the end of this week. I mean, the United States, of course, is willing to give them long-range missiles and everything else now. He's going to change society, legal, and political readiness in many ways. Make it more human and transparent and effective, according to him. It's ridiculous. He has no control over anything. But yet $2.2 billion of military aid, which is expected to include long-range missiles, which is something we can't afford to give up. We only have a week of if we were to go to war with China for the first time, as well as other munitions and weapons. This is crazy. Absolutely crazy. More money going to Russia, basically, because his weapons are going to be in Russian hands eventually. Let's face the facts. Of course, the Pentagon is telling lawmakers in a classified briefing, Ukraine cannot take Crimea. Cannot take Crimea. Neither can we. Ukrainian forces are unlikely to be able to recapture Crimea from Russian troops in the near future. I mean, this is from several Defense Department officials told the House Armed Services Committee in a classified briefing. The assessment of the frustrated leader of Kiev, who considers taking back the peninsula one of their signature goals. Obviously, it's not going to happen. I mean, they're clearly relying on everything we give them to do anything at this point, even forcing their own citizens to fight no matter what. It's unclear, of course, what was said in the meeting, but there's clear indications, as relayed by at least 3 people which acknowledge the briefing, its contents, that the Pentagon does not believe Ukraine has or will have the ability to force Russian troops out of the peninsula Moscow seized nearly a decade ago. I mean, it's crazy. It's only getting worse, of course. Russia's planning major offenses to mark its first anniversary of the war. We're talking about, of course, the 500,000 troops that have been mobilized by Russia and the new 500,000 as Ukraine's calling for more weapons. We're seeing these soldiers going up and up and up. Russia's general mobilization of 300 conscribed soldiers last September. I mean, the number of this is going to be at least 500,000. I mean, it's crazy. There's at least 300,000 at the border now. I mean, this is way out of control. Russia's going to end up wiping Ukraine from the map one way or the other, and we're just fighting a proxy war there. Nuclear arms, of course, are the big question of who fires first. And of course, European lawmakers and Ukraine are trying to get F-16 fighter jets to Ukraine. Morocco said that, of course, the European leader, president of France, is working on getting those plans for him. He has not ruled it out for him. The U.S., of course, has already ruled out F-16s, according to Biden. But, of course, we ruled out Abrams tanks. We sent them to him. Ruled out long-range missiles. We're sending them to him. It's just one after another. Literally. Turn around and more expert analysis saying it's going to be better. It's going to be better. It's going to be better if we do this. It's not. Nothing more is happening. Russia's taking more territory. Ukraine's getting cornered more, and more U.S. weapons are falling into Ukrainian hands. Of course, the U.S. is accusing Russia of endangering nuclear arms control treaty. Russia refuses to allow on-the-ground inspections to resume from the U.S. and Russia, which I'm sorry, Russia's at war with Ukraine, and we're basically fighting with Ukraine at this point. I would not allow another country to come into my country and able to sabotage any of my country's infrastructure. Russia, at this point, I think, is right. I mean, I don't care if you're a United States citizen or Russian or whatever you are. Russia refusing on-the-ground inspections from the United States is just defending themselves at this point. May not seem like it, but I mean, limiting strategic nuclear weapons is, of course, despite the high tension and war of Ukraine. The U.S. wants to inspect Russian military sites under the New START Treaty and pause both sides because of course, got paused because of the spread of coronavirus in 2020. I mean, but now we're talking about Russia's out of war, and basically we're fighting on the other side. Of course, we refused the inspections from Russia, so don't say it's just Russia saying this one way. We refused Russia inspections, but we're not going to allow anybody else to inspect. Hi, how you doing tonight? This is Real News Live. You're live on air.
Hey, Chris. Looks like we're lagging a little bit. I'm watching an older you or a previous you on your channel here. But anyway, just wanted to call and talk about, number one, the fact that the CIA has admitted the fact that there were biolabs that were constructed and put in Ukraine. I thought that was an interesting input to the fact.
Research labs. That's what they admitted to. They won't admit to gain of function. But even Boston University, we know, that was studying COVID after the fact. They made a virus that was stronger and could kill up to 80% of people who got infected. If we're not doing gain of function, how does that happen?
Right.
That's like clear gain of function research, and that's a bioweapon. If you're doing gain of function on a virus or bacteria, it's a bioweapon. That's what it is. There's no question. So.
And if these labs are on your border, don't you think a country would retaliate against that?
Not just that. I mean, Russia had asked the UN to step in and to send in UN peacekeepers into Ukraine before they went, I mean, after 2014, but before now, because of the treatment of people in Ukraine being penalized for speaking Russian, or, I mean, literally, people were getting killed, a lot of people, not just a little. If you look at even the Azov group's background, they talk about this since 2014 to now, about how they were killing, about how they were attacking these groups left and right inside of Ukraine. Being part of the Ukrainian government, the United Nations should have stepped in. This was literally killing off people because they didn't like the way they spoke or looked. It's nothing more than what Germany did.
Genocide. Yep.
That's sad. The UN did not step in. Russia finally stepped in. And Russia was only trying to annex the territories that wanted to be annexed, which was Donbass and over. It's not like they didn't want to be. We know this because even Zelensky and the Azov group has been talking about this. The people much rather wanted to be in Russian soil. It's sad.
Yeah, very, very sad. I'm sorry. It's Teresa Robin, and I was calling in to talk about the chicken eggs, actually.
Yeah. Well, chicken's a whole other freaking problem. I mean, they're blaming on the bird flu. The bird flu has been around for years. Let's be honest. Everybody knows. Avian flu has been around since, 2012? No, 2002. 2002 avian flu first came around. So they're blaming on the chicken shortage and the bird shortage on that, but yet we have airplanes crashing into producing facilities.
Yeah, it's not a
Two
chicken
in two
shortage.
in one
It's a
day.
it's a food shortage is
Yeah.
what they're trying to make. It's called centralized food distribution. They're trying to stop all independent food production, and that's
Well,
how you do it.
yeah, and when Biden was speaking before his presidency, he talked about what would happen if a food shortage was caused or happened, which was
Yeah,
really suspicious now that we look back and we look at what's happening in the country. I mean, we have less of everything. Nobody realizes how short we actually are. I mean, literally, people are starting to stockpile toilet paper again because it's going to become that bad. Hate to say it, but
it's yeah, it's all part of the plan. It's part of the plan to make sure that the masses are under the control of the few that are in government, whoever, and I'm not sure who they are at this point. It's crazy. It's totally nuts. Is it
no,
global elites? Is it U.S. elites? I have no idea. It's totally crazy.
who knows? Because every time we turn around and try to find out what's happening, something else happens. Literally. I mean, we
Yeah.
got Iran military running to Panama Canal now, sending warships to Brazil and the Panama Canal to challenge the U.S., which they could easily challenge us there because there's a whole bunch of people on the South America that do not like us. So they get there. I mean, if they give weapons to these gangs and everything along the Panama Canal, forget it. We lose the ability to trade goods and move goods efficiently around the country, even worse than we already are. We don't have the goods we need. I mean, Chinese is ready to take Taiwan anytime now. And we're busy trying to build bases all around China, which is ridiculous because we have no stance to do anything about it right now. North
Right.
Korea, North Korea is,
We have the farmland here in the United States, just like we always have.
yeah,
But
but nobody,
you
but it's
know
being
who's
bought
bought
up.
that
It's being
farmland
bought up
up
and not being
now?
used. Yeah, it's being bought up and not being
Exactly.
used.
Exactly. Yep.
I mean, we got Iran, North Korea, China, Russia, all ready to fight us. I mean, North Korea today warns that any allied drills or allied drills next to them, will have tougher reactions and the toughest reactions that we've seen so far from North Korea. This is time for people to wake up. I mean, when you have country after country standing against the U.S. now, I mean, no, we still have NATO, but what is NATO? NATO is nothing more than our military being providing safety and convenience for a whole bunch of other countries. Nobody has a real military anymore besides China, Russia, Iran, Iraq. I mean, countries that we aren't partnered with. So it's just
So
sad
we
right now.
think the way the vaccine was rolled out and taken up makes me think there's more to the ties between the countries than what we originally thought. But I'll digress a little bit to the chicken thing. I've got 6 chickens. I've fed my chickens feed from Tractor Supply. However, I buy a lot of feed every time I go, so I don't have to go very often. The oldest date on the bags is July of last year. My chickens are laying pretty well all winter.
Are you feeding them just
They
cracked corn, or are you feeding them actually broken down feed like
Cracked
Purina is?
corn is a treat, and the what I mainly feed them is a 16% protein feed.
But it's not a Purina brand because that's the biggest one that I'm hearing
It
about right
is.
now. Is
It is. It's
Purina
the
is
one we're hearing about. That's what I feed them.
it's
Yeah. It's
every single different brand from Purina right now is being
well.
questioned because
Yes.
especially the brand that the cattle were dying on, which is ridiculous. But
Yeah. I feed them Puritan Pride, which I believe is one of those suspect
yeah,
companies that's owned by Purina.
But you are
My
giving them
plan this
crack corn or
weekend.
supplement in the food too, so that's
I
why they
am
could be laying.
supplementing. Well, I think it's the fact that the food that I'm feeding them is from a July 2022 lot. If it was from an October 22 lot, I think it would be worse. I
Oh,
actually went
that's
out
a
and
big
checked the
question.
bags
But
on it, so yeah.
a lot of those that are supposed to be hot, like the calcium levels were way off. They tested one where there was like barely any calcium. I mean, you can't expect a bird to reproduce, especially when producing a shell every single time, without
I don't
calcium
think
in
it's
their food.
calcium.
Well,
I
I
don't think
don't
it's
think it either.
calcium.
I think it's a
It's something else.
virus or some kind of other thing that's been introduced, but
Yeah, me
we don't
too.
know about yet, but it's going to get worse. I have a feeling.
Yeah, don't know it. No, don't know it. Just suspect it.
It's sad though. I mean, a week ago, the third biggest poultry farmer in the U.S. just burns down 21 fire departments, not trucks. Had to show up to put out the blaze. I mean, hundreds of thousands of chickens died that were like egg layers.
Yeah, poof,
We
just like that.
done.
And how much land has Bill Gates bought this year?
Oh my goodness, it's out of control. And some states are limiting, like,
Yeah.
and won't let them buy land, which is a good thing. The problem is,
Oh
he's just buying
yeah.
it under shell corporations now.
Yeah, true.
And then we look at
Um,
the push to electric vehicles, and we look at stuff like what's happening. I don't know if you guys know anybody in Texas or that area, but they're having massive freezing power outages. If you have an electric car there, what are you going to do? You can't get in your car to stay warm. You can't start your car up. You don't have fuel. You can't charge your car. You don't have power. You can't go anywhere to get shelter. I mean, this is crazy.
yeah, electric cars are just, I mean, there's a good idea behind it, but I wish I had a good analogy for this. It's like buying a paper napkin when you need to build a dam. It's something like that. um, yeah. Anyway, I'll let you get on with your show, Chris.
Yeah.
Appreciate
God
you.
bless you. Thank you for calling in. We
Enjoy
definitely
talking to
appreciate
you.
it. We definitely
Yeah.
appreciate you
Take
calling
care.
in. God bless.
Bye.
Yeah, Glenda, she was talking about old stock is better than the new stock because that's what she's been feeding. I mean, it's crazy. Really, giving chickens leftovers is the best. I mean, let's be honest. Ducks, like, and chickens both like leftovers. I mean, your vegetables or anything left over, you throw it out and let them pick at it. Insects come, the chickens love that as well. Try to get away from factory foods. It's the biggest thing. Government definitely doesn't have our best interests as we're watching what's happening. Government doesn't care about what's happening to the citizens. They care about how they can make the best for the country, the best dollar for themselves, not for the country. Let's be honest. We see it. One thing after another. It's literally one thing after another that we're facing. But thank you. Thanks for the call, and we definitely appreciate calls. It's just we have North Korea, Iran, Russia, China. And we're trying to focus on one or the other while sending weapons to Ukraine. I mean, the United States still hasn't worked out the budget issue. Feds are saying, "Oh, everything's good because there's 11,000 or 11 million jobs open right now in the U.S." Where are these jobs at? They're not in the tech sector. I mean, I've been trying to find out where these jobs supposedly that they have available are. I can't find them, so I wonder how anybody can at this point. It's pretty sad watching what's happening as massive layoffs are happening back to back. We see companies laying off now, even factories, big factories closing down and having extra days off during the week because they're not having enough goods to actually have the employees there working. Of course, more people are going to be affected by that in the long run, getting pay cuts that they weren't necessarily pay cuts, just pushed off. But God bless you all. God bless America. Stay safe, stay strong, That's all I can say. If you can afford to donate, please do. If you want to send goods, send them to the address on the page. God bless everyone. Try to stay safe as we're getting ready for Easter and getting ready to help as many families as possible. God bless you all. Good night.